It was the night of August 25th, 1939, when a German Opel staff car screeched into the courtyard of the Abwehr headquarters. Heinrich Geidke, a harried staff officer, flung the door open and sprinted inside. Geidke burst into the office of Wilhelm Canaris, the enigmatic head of the Abwehr, breathless and frantic. His words came out in panicked gasps. "The Führer has called off the invasion of Poland. You must stop your combat teams immediately." The invasion was set to begin at 4:30 a.m., less than 6 hours away. The meticulous plans had already been put into motion. Saboteurs, commandos and agents were fanning out across the Polish border, each ready to cripple Poland's defenses. Now, Canaris had mere hours to unravel his own web of operations. The Abwehr's strict radio silence was the first obstacle. Protocols were shattered. Switchboards lit up in a frenzy as operators scrambled to send desperate orders to stand down. Yet, amid the chaos, one Brandenburger commando team, led by Lieutenant Dr. Hans Albrecht Herzner, never received the signal. When Canaris realized the catastrophic blunder, Herzner and his men were already deep inside Polish territory, closing in on their target, the fortified Mości railway station. In a Polish forest, Herzner prepared his team to strike. He had no idea the invasion had been called off. For a man who once plotted to eliminate Hitler, he was now poised to set Europe ablaze all by himself. Hitler was convinced the weak-willed Western Allies would fold when he unleashed his assault on Poland. To him, Britain and France were haunted by the spectre of the Great War. They would never risk another global conflict over a distant Central European nation. They had stood idle as he annexed Austria and carved up Czechoslovakia. Why would this be any different? The only actual threat was the Soviet Union. Stalin's opportunism loomed large. If Germany moved east, the Soviets could exploit the chaos to strike the Third Reich. But that final obstacle evaporated on August 23, 1939. The German-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact publicly promised neutrality from Moscow. Secretly, it divided Poland between them. With the pact signed, the wheels of war turned rapidly. Orders for a full-scale invasion of Poland, Fall Weiss, went out to the army, navy, and Luftwaffe. Hitler personally informed Field Marshal Wilhelm Keitel, head of the Wehrmacht's Supreme Command. The plan was audacious. 1.5 million men attacking from multiple fronts. Army Group North would sweep east through East Prussia, while Army Group South advanced north through Slovakia. By the morning of August 25th, the invasion was ready. Troops waited silently, engines idling. At 3 p.m., the final directive came. The assault would begin at dawn on August 26, 1939. Then the unexpected happened. News of a formal Anglo-Polish alliance reached Berlin. Britain had vowed to intervene if Poland were attacked. The report hit the Reich Chancellery like a bombshell. Hitler, furious and shaken, realized he might have miscalculated. A two-front war against Poland in the east and Britain and France in the west would be a catastrophic gamble. At 7:30 p.m., after a tense meeting, Hitler called off the invasion. Orders went out to halt everything. A livid Führer barked at Keitel to stop everything at once. Keitel's staff scrambled to intercept the invasion forces. Most units received the cancellation in time, but the Abwehr, the secretive German intelligence agency, was harder to reach. By the time Heinrich Geidke was sent in a desperate sprint to inform Canaris, it was almost too late. Hans Albrecht Herzner was a man of contradictions, a brilliant officer who had once conspired against Hitler and now found himself leading a commando mission in his service. Years before, the young intellectual had earned his doctorate and secured a coveted role as a research assistant at the German Army High Command. But his new employers had no idea that Herzner, behind his polished exterior, belonged to a secret right-wing resistance group determined to assassinate Hitler. The group's motive was clear. They believed the Führer's reckless ambitions would drag Germany into a disastrous world war it was unprepared to fight. But Hitler's signing of the Munich Agreement in September 1938 diffused fears of imminent conflict and caused the resistance group, lacking a concrete plan, to disband. Herzner abandoned thoughts of assassination and turned his focus to his military career. By 1939, he had been recruited by the Abwehr to lead one of its elite Brandenburger commando units. The Brandenburgers were no ordinary soldiers. They were hand-picked saboteurs, tough, cunning, and lethal, often composed of Polish-speaking irregulars. As midnight approached on August 25, 1939, Herzner's men gathered under the cover of darkness. Dressed as civilians, with only swastika armbands to mark their allegiance, they listened intently as Herzner, clad in full Wehrmacht uniform, delivered their final orders. Each man was armed with a submachine gun, a pistol, and 4 magazines of ammunition. The mission was audacious. Herzner's 2 12-man teams would infiltrate Polish territory, navigate the rugged Beskids Mountains, and secure the vital Mosti railway station and the Jablunkov Pass tunnel, a critical supply route for the Nazi invasion. Their orders were clear: capture and hold the station until the German army arrived at dawn. The operation's success could determine how quickly the Wehrmacht advanced to Warsaw. Shortly after midnight, Herzner and his men emerged from the forest marking the Slovak-Polish border and began their trek through the mountains. Moving silently, Herzner led his team through the darkness, evading Polish sentries whose presence grew alarmingly dense as they approached Mosti station. By 3 a.m., Herzner's group reached their designated rendezvous point on a hill overlooking the station, 15 minutes ahead of schedule. But the second team was missing. The hill's silence was unnerving. The Poles had mined the 1,000-foot-long tunnel, according to German spies. The missing assault team's mission was to take care of the tunnel and make sure it wasn't detonated, while Herzner's detachment took care of the Mosti station. Unbeknownst to Herzner, the missing team had been intercepted by 2 breathless scouts and ordered to abort their mission and return to Slovakia. 2 other scouts raced to warn Herzner, dashing through the forest. But time was running out. With less than an hour until the invasion's original start time, Herzner, unaware of the change in plans, made his decision. The second team was missing, the clock was ticking, and his orders were clear. He would not fail Germany, even if it meant taking care of both the station and the tunnel. He declared, "We strike now." At 4 a.m., Herzner and his commandos stormed down the hill, weapons blazing. The cover of the night had betrayed them. A sentry had spotted their approach. It no longer mattered. Herzner was certain German armored vehicles were just minutes away, ready to secure the Jablunkov Pass tunnel. He also believed the other Brandenburger teams had already silenced the area's telecommunications, ensuring no Polish reinforcements could respond. But the Poles did respond. Border police, railway workers, and regular soldiers dug in inside the station. Shots erupted through the windows as the defenders unleashed a ferocious counterattack. Yet Herzner's men were no ordinary troops. They were veterans of covert operations, trained to strike with ruthless precision. Grenades shattered windows and walls, leaving the Polish defenders outgunned and overwhelmed. White tablecloths soon fluttered from the station's windows, a makeshift flag of surrender. One of Herzner's men, speaking fluent Polish, demanded the building's commander come forward. A trembling Polish colonel, middle-aged and wide-eyed, stepped through the door with his hands raised. Herzner, pistol lowered, approached the colonel. Something about the man's expression unsettled him. In a measured voice, Herzner asked, "What's the matter? Aren't Germany and Poland at war?" The colonel, his words carefully translated, replied, "No, they aren't. You can find out for yourself." Hertzner's confidence faltered. Something was wrong. The colonel gestured toward the telephone. Reluctantly, Hertzner considered breaking the radio silence, but his decision was interrupted. A Polish reconnaissance unit from Jablunkov Pass had arrived, surrounding the station. Gunfire erupted once more, pinning the commandos inside. Hertzner, thinking quickly, took hostages, an effort to deter the Poles from storming the building. Yet outside, there was no sign of German reinforcements. The realization gnawed at him. The Poles might be telling the truth. At 5 a.m., with options dwindling, Hertzner made the call. The first attempt failed. The local operator refused to patch him through, deepening his fears. Desperation mounting, he ordered a commando to seize a locomotive and prepare for retreat. But before the train could be commandeered, Hertzner tried the phone one last time. This time, the call went through. The divisional intelligence officer's voice roared through the receiver. "Retreat at once. Release your prisoners, vacate the station, and return immediately. The invasion has been cancelled." The truth hit Hertzner like a hammer. His mission, the one he had sacrificed so much for, was never meant to take place. He gathered his men, explaining reinforcements were not coming. Under cover of daylight, with Polish troops close behind, the Brandenburgers slipped back across the Slovakian border by early afternoon. The firefight at Mosty Station, though brief, left a lasting mark. At Polish headquarters, there was no longer any doubt about Hitler's intentions. The August 26th skirmish accelerated Polish mobilization. By September 1st, when Germany finally launched its full-scale invasion, 3/4 of Poland's armed forces were ready. Ironically, Hertzner's commandos achieved what the main invasion force failed to replicate. The Poles, anticipating another strike, destroyed the Jablunkov Pass tunnel just an hour after the September 1st hostilities began. What might have been a triumph for Hertzner's men became an overlooked detail in a German victory that seemed inevitable. Even so, Hertzner's mission left a bitter taste. Nominated for an Iron Cross, he was denied the award. His success came too early before the war officially began.